Next is the reticulospinal tract. Very important structure in the body is the reticulospinal tract, reticular activating system. So this reticular activating system is present here, which is running from the medulla to the pons. You can see this is placed more medially. This is the reticular activating system, RAS. A collection of nucleus in the pons and the medulla are called as reticular activating system. So what is the role of this reticular activating system? It is going to it is a mostly like a switch on switch off mechanism in your body. When you sleep, this reticular activating system is off, but when you are awake, the reticular system is on. That means when you want to sleep, the body do not switch off all the parts of the sensory receptors separately. It switch off the reticular activating system. Activating system is getting damaged only when most of the spinal cord gets damaged. So it is located so centrally. So this reticular activating system sends information down to the spinal cord, and this information is relayed by means of the reticulospinal tract, which is the third tract in the extrapyramidal system. Fine. So they have two portions, pontine portion and the medullary portion. So what is the role of the pontine portion? The pontine portion of the reticulospinal tract runs ipsilaterally. That means it does not crosses to the opposite side, and it is also remaining on the ipsilateral side. Okay, so it runs ipsilaterally, and function is it's excitatory to the axial extensor muscles. So axial means trunk extensor muscle. It is going to produce excitatory influence. So the medullary reticulospinal tract also runs ipsilaterally. Okay, but very few fibers crosses, but predominantly it remains on the same side, inhibitory to the axial extensor muscles. So it can inhibit the axial extensor muscle, but remember that this is not going to stimulate the flexors. It is not an excitatory to the flexors. The medullary is inhibitory to axial extensors, and the pons is the excitatory to the axial extensors, and it remains ipsilateral. So far we have seen three. In that only the reticulospinal tract crosses to the opposite side, but the vestibulospinal and reticulospinal remains on the same side. The last one is the tectospinal tract. You have known about the tectum, tegmentum, all these things in the midbrain. So the tectum is an important part in the midbrain. This tract receives information from the eyes. One thing I forgot to tell you, the reticulospinal tract, where it receives input from, it receives inputs from the afferent sensory inputs from the sensory areas like how your touch, temperature, pressure, the proprioception, all these movements that are happening in your body, somatosensory inputs are going to be the inputs for the reticulospinal tract. And also the vestibular stimuli which is coming from the otolith organ are also going to be the inputs for this reticulospinal tract. Now the last one is the tectospinal tract. I told you the inputs from this is from the eyes, from the visual stimuli. If some object is approaching you very fast and you want to react to this object, then your tectospinal tract is going to be active. So see, you can clearly see that God has given you all sensory stimulus, one particular tract to react for, like your vestibulospinal, your reticulospinal and tectospinal. Now tectospinal, what is the function of tectospinal? It is going to involve in the control of the neck muscles in response to the visual input. What happens when you are when something is approaching your eyes, you just rotate your head to avoid the problem. So it is going to control only your mostly your neck muscles, and it is again an excitated to the extensors of the neck and mostly the upper trapezius and all those areas. Fine. So do they cross? Yes, they do cross, and they go to the opposite side. That is visible in this diagram. So two tracks are crossing to the opposite side, and two tracks are remaining on the same side. Rubrospinal and the tectospinal crosses to the opposite side, whereas the vestibulospinal and the your reticulospinal remains on the same side.